Hi, everyone. I am your host, Cindy, and welcome to my next episode. This episode will focus on recognizing financial behaviors and their impact on relationships. So, today's episode is called Dating and Dollars Spotting Financial Harmony. And this is my second episode to my next series, talking about just finances and how it relates to dating. So, I want to share something. Imagine you've been dating someone for a while and it's been easy and enjoyable. One evening after dinner at a cozy little cafe or wherever at a restaurant, your date suggests stopping by maybe a local bookstore to just browse around. And as you're flipping through the books, you notice that they pick up a travel guide and you smile, saying, "Hey, I've been saving up for a trip to Italy. It's been a dream for years. What about you? Do you have a travel goal?" Their comment not only sparks a fun conversation about your shared love for adventure, but also reveals something meaningful. They are financially mindful with a mix of long term planning and enthusiasm for experiences. So, as the relationship progresses, you notice other small cues like how are they generous but thoughtful when tipping, or how they occasionally mention budgeting for hobbies that they love. Each of these actions quietly reinforces their sense of financial balance. So, moments like these make you realize that there's financial harmony between the both of you. Your habits or their habits reflect, shared values, responsibility, generosity, and intentionality, and it strengthens your confidence in the relationship. It's not about the money itself, but the way that their choices, your potential partner and their choices align with their priorities and how that resonates with yours. So, I want to talk about subtle signs of financial responsibility when dating. So, what type of cues or habits should you be looking for? And I want to talk about how to approach your dating when it comes to tipping, like servers at a restaurant, also having conversations around budgeting or even sharing costs when you go out. So, these little, just minor habits and cues can reveal valuable insights about someone's values, about their habits, and also attitudes. So, get a pen and paper ready because here's a few things that I feel that you should be observing for while dating. So, the first thing is tipping behavior. This will show you their generosity, their fairness, and their attitude towards how they treat servers and the respect that they have for them. I personally think this speaks volume to me because if you see that they're tipping well, or maybe if they don't even tip at all, then that's like really like, how do you, then you're not really that generous, right? So, number two, budgeting conversations. Like, this is such an important one. Does your date feel comfortable discussing money related topics? Are they open? Are they transparent? These are things that you should be observing for. But what I want you to do is observe whether they plan cost effective date ideas, right? So are they going to have filet mignon? Are they going to take you out to, I don't know, um, Roots Chris or like some place where it's really expensive? Or do they even suggest splitting expenses? And so if finances do come up, do they respect your financial boundaries without making any judgment? So, this can really reflect emotional intelligence as well as mutual respect in how they approach these conversations. And lastly, the approach to sharing costs. Equality is important, and how someone handles the bill can really reveal how they view partnership dynamics. And so, communicating this early on can really show that maturity in not only yourself, but in them as well. And you may even see how well that they can compromise while it comes to alternating who pays, or if they can adapt to your preferences. So, if you prefer to pay, for this date, maybe next week they can say, you know what? Like, I'll pay since you paid last week. So just these small but impactful observations can often signal deeper values that may matter in the long run. And observing their behavior without making any judgment can really help you to better understand where their priorities are financially, and also compatibility, because you want to make sure that you two are on the same page. So, let's start discussing how small actions can reflect larger financial habits of someone. So, here are just some examples of how small gestures, small actions may offer some insight. So, look out for the choices in spending. So, do they opt for high end coffee places over more affordable options? Or how do they approach tipping? I mentioned this before. Are they still generous when with tipping staff, even when the service is just average? What's their attitude towards sales and discounts? Do they actively look for those deals? Handling unexpected expenses, addressing a forgotten wallet. Maybe someone forgot their payment or their wallet or whatever at dinner, or maybe unplanned expenses on a date. Do they act calmly with it, or do they get really upset? Sharing costs. Do they offer to split, or do they even offer to make alternative options of like who pays? Conversations about money, does that even happen? Do they casually mention budgeting goals or savings, like, or any financial goals? Small spending decisions like skipping unnecessary purchases or choosing practical over flashy items. What are their spending habits like? So I just feel like these small actions may seem insignificant in isolation when you think about it. That's not a big deal, but holistically together, they paint a really good picture of a person's overall financial habits and values. And that's really important, especially if you're really looking to settle down with someone. So, how do we keep the observations lighthearted and non-judgmental? How do we approach this? Well, number one, always assume positive intent. Don't go and assume, oh, well, because he tipped, he didn't want to tip, that means like he's such a ingenerous person. No, like don't assume the negative, but also focus on playful curiosity. Like if you want to maybe joke around a little bit, and but you're curious at the same time, that's being lighthearted about it. Avoid making any major assumptions. Keep the focus on the connection and the chemistry. Be present in the date. Don't overly be serious about all of these little things. Use humor to diffuse any awkwardness, because that will happen, and reflect without criticism. Think about how their actions will align with your values, but don't avoid but avoid harsh, like being harsh about it, right? So no one is perfect. You don't have to like point the finger like, hey, you didn't tip, but maybe you can give in and be like, you know what, I have a couple of dollars, I'll tip. But at the end of the day, dating is about discovering compatibility, especially if you're serious about finding somebody, you know um but you want to also enjoy the moment, so not assessing behaviors too seriously too soon. I mean, just keep casual about it. It's okay to have expectations. I have expectations. Like, it's okay to have expectations, but try to be a little bit more open minded, but observant at the same time. Look for consistency and those patterns in their behavior. And it's totally okay not to be compatible, and just move on. Be open and honest. Okay, so now let's talk about financial compatibility, but in a deeper connection, when you have a deep connection with someone. And why does aligning financial values is so critical for long-term relationships? So for me personally, aligning financial values is crucial for building a strong, lasting relationship, because money often plays a central role in everyday life and in major decisions. So here's why it's so important. It will help to prevent conflict. Financial disagreements are a common source of stress in relationships. And it's also the number one reason why people get divorced. So, doing this head on with somebody and having these discussions and making sure that you align with your financial values and goals is so important, because definitely it will prevent conflicts. Also, building trust, transparency about Being transparent and honest about your spending habits or savings and financial priorities will create a foundation of trust because it's a really important topic. And, not everybody can share that. And when you start to be transparent and honest, it just starts to build trust between the two. Also, achieving shared goals, whether it's buying a home, saving for a vacation, or even preparing for retirement, shared financial values will help couples work as a team. And also, another reason why financial values is important to be aligned is it could establish security, long term. It strengthens communication between you two. It will help to reflect, on broader values and adapting during challenging times. And by fostering mutual respect for each other and understanding about each other's finances, couples can really create a relationship that thrives both emotionally and practically. So, I also want to give some practical ways to help start discussions about money in a comfortable but non intrusive way because we don't want to be intrusive, right? We don't want to ask certain questions, but there's a way to handle it. There's an approach, there's practical ways you can approach the conversations. So, number one, bring up finances naturally during like relevant situations and relevant topics. Lead with your own story and share personal experiences that you have had. Approach the topic collaboratively. So, framing it in a way that's like it's a team effort, right? Discuss it in a neutral, hypothetical way. Also, broaden the topic to life values, not just finances. What do you value, in family, in couples, in a relationship, in a marriage? Keep it light, keep it fun, ease into playful scenarios. And if the relationship is developing and progressing, emphasize the importance of sharing values, being on the same page. By keeping the tone curious, open, and relaxed, you can create an environment for honest discussion without even putting pressure on the conversation. So, I encourage you to reflect on your own financial behaviors and what you are looking for in a partner. And you should do this first before dating. Make sure you set this straight. I want you to examine your own spending priorities first. I want you to assess your financial strengths and challenges by identifying your habits, like sticking to a budget, or areas where you struggle, like impulsive buys. Define your financial philosophy first. Consider how you view money. Write that down. Set your long term financial goals. Where do you want to be 3 to 5 years from now financially? Reflect on your past experiences as well. What did you learn from them? Determine your ideal financial partner and think about the dynamics that resonate with you. Do you want to be equals? Do you want the man to pay? Do you want to be independent and you want to pay? Set that tone, but also seek alignment. That is what you're looking for, not perfection, but alignment, because no one is perfect. And if that person doesn't meet your expectations, that is okay. You guys are just not compatible. But having shared values like transparency, fairness, or being ambition can really create a solid foundation for harmony and less stress in the long run. Okay, so, what do others think? I was curious to know what other people thought. And so I did a poll on Instagram and I asked my audience what money related habits do they find attractive and also unattractive in a potential partner while dating. So, when it comes to dating, financial habits can truly reveal a lot about someone's values and lifestyle. So, the results were quite interesting and I want to share them with you. So, the top 5 responses I got from people that found these habits to be attractive were financial responsibility, being being mindful of spending, budgeting, and saving. Some people said that this showed the maturity and stability in someone, and I agree. Number two, the next one was generosity, whether it's paying for a meal or donating to a cause. Some people say this was attractive, knowing that their potential partner gives back. And I agree. Number three, open communication about finances, transparency about financial goals. Some even said that that helped to build trust. Totally agree there. Number four, goal oriented savings, demonstrating discipline by saving for the future. Some say this reflects ambition in someone. And lastly, living within their means, prioritizing a sustainable lifestyle instead of overspending to impress someone. Now, the top 5 most unattractive habits were, I mean, I totally agree with them, and I've come across quite a few of them, but number 1 was excessive debt with no plan, like having large debt without any strategy for repayment. Some even said that this showed irresponsibility, and I totally agree with that. Number 2, being stingy, refusing to spend reasonably or being overly frugal. Some say that this can come off as selfish, and I definitely have dated men in this category. It's okay to be frugal, okay? I want to make that clear. It is okay to be frugal with your finances. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, you have financial goals, just be honest up front about it, share and communicate. But obviously, this comes down to, maturity, the transparency, and like I mentioned before in other episodes, timing and comfort. Timing makes a big deal. This is something that you shouldn't bring up early on, like the first date or the first meet, but a couple of dates in, you should be open and honest. Now, number 3, financial dishonesty. Hiding debts or being deceptive about spending is a major red flag. I mean, is it a deal breaker? Maybe not, but starting any type of relationship off with financial dishonesty is a huge trust issue. And because you may not have full on trust in the person to begin with, because you're just getting to know them, and, trust, you build on trust. Well, I don't know. This is a give and take here. So definitely red flag. Number 4, overindulgence in lavish spending. I mean, reckless splurging or trying to flaunt wealth. This is also my most annoying thing about someone is if I see them flashing their wealth, or it's one thing to be proud of how far you've come in your finances, but to flaunt it and then have a rude attitude or arrogance is just downright wrong. Like, I don't even have words for that. And lastly, dependency without contribution. I mean, expecting a partner to bear all financial responsibilities without reciprocation. That's huge. I've seen this happen before, and it can most definitely lead to that other person feeling resentment towards that person. So definitely give back, be generous, be kind, just things to look out for while dating. So I want to recap and on some key takeaways I think that are really important is subtle signs to observe, such as remember, look out for how they tip, look out for the conversations around budgeting, and also sharing costs. Do they want to be a gentleman and want to pay, or do you want to split the cost? And those are just a few things that can provide insight about someone's values, their habits, and their attitudes. Also, why financial compatibility and a deeper connection is so important, and ensuring that making sure that you both align with your financial values to build a strong, lasting relationship. Remember, you want to make sure that you align financially. Also, we learned how to discover practical ways to start money discussions. How do we start those conversations in a comfortable but non intrusive way? Lastly, reflect on your own financial behaviors. Like, seriously, just what are you looking for in a partner? Be clear about it, be upfront about it early on, write it down, have those conversations early on. You don't need to go into detail, just be open and honest and transparent. So, I want to leave you with this. Observing financial habits is about compatibility. Remember, it's not about being perfect, but it's about being compatible with someone. That is it. So that is all for this episode. I encourage you to visit my website, sign up for my mailing list. I will soon be launching a monthly newsletter, which I'm really excited about. Also, I invite you to follow me on Instagram, Prosperity and Grace, for more tips and updates. And subscribe to my YouTube channel, Apple Music or Spotify. My podcast is uploaded to all of those platforms, so I don't want you to miss out on my next episodes. And my next episode is going to be really, really exciting because it is going to talk about love and money talks, like finding the right moment to have financial conversations. And this is a good one because you need to find the right moment. But until then, take care, God bless, and happy dating out there if you're single.